Welcome to our 5-minute Bible study in the book of Genesis. We've been looking at the story, the account of Abraham, how God called him out of Ur of the Chaldees, out of a life of idolatry, to follow the true God. How God promised that I'll take you to a new land. The land will be yours and your descendants, and through you I will bless all the peoples of earth. Abraham listened to God, obeyed, and traveled to this new land, to the land of Canaan. He's been traveling throughout the land and beginning to wonder how God is going to fulfill his promise. Now, Abraham believes God, but he has no children. And you recall that Abraham was already an old man when he first set out on this journey. He was already 75 years old, so more years have passed. And so he's beginning to wonder, how is God going to fulfill the promise? And so we come to Genesis chapter 15, the next great event in this story of Abraham. Now after this, it says, the word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision. Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield. I am your very great reward. But Abram said, Lord, how will you give this to me, since I remain childless, have no children? Who will inherit my estate? Will it be Eliezer of Damascus? Now Eliezer was a servant of Abraham. And so Abraham thinks, well, it's all going to pass to my servant. I have no children. And Abram said, you've given me no children, so a servant in my household will be my heir. And the word of the Lord came to him and said, this man, Eliezer, your servant, this man will not be your heir, but a son, who is your own flesh and blood, he will be your heir. Then God took him outside and said, look up at the sky and count the stars, if indeed you can count them. So shall your offspring be. And Abraham believed the Lord, and he credited it to him as righteousness. And God said to Abraham, I am the Lord who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give you this land that you might take possession of it. You see, Abraham was wondering, God, how are you going to fulfill your promise? I have no children, I'm an old man. And God said, you will have a son, your own flesh and blood. And your descendants will one day be like the stars in the sky in number. I am the Lord, and you can count on me. You know, this is the basis of our faith. The basis is not in ourselves, it's in God. He is the Lord. His word is faithful. His promise will be fulfilled. And what did Abraham do? It says he believed the Lord, and it was credited to him as righteousness. Now that verse is the most important verse in all the story of Abraham. Abraham believed the Lord. Many, many years later, the Apostle Paul, when he wrote his letter to the Galatians, would be talking to them about how you live by faith and how you're saved by faith. And he would refer back to this account of Abraham. Listen to what Paul says in Galatians chapter 3. He said, I asked you, does God give you his Spirit and work miracles among you by works or by believing? And Paul says, so also Abraham believed God, and it was credited to him as righteousness. You see, he's quoting that verse. Understand then, Paul says, that those who have faith are the children of Abraham. If you believe, you're a child of Abraham. Scripture foresaw that God would justify the Gentiles by faith, and he announced in advance about the gospel, all nations will be blessed through you, Abraham. All nations will be blessed through you. So those who rely on faith are blessed along with Abraham, who was the man of faith. Abraham is the example of faith to us. So says Paul. Because when Abraham wondered, God, how are you going to fulfill your promise? God said, I'll do it because I am the Lord. And Abraham believed in the Lord. And so should we. You know, there are times in our life when we wonder, God, how are you going to work things out? How are you going to fulfill your promise? I can't see it happening around me. And God says to us, as he says to Abraham, I am the Lord. I am the Lord. I am in control. I will bring my purposes to pass. Trust me. And our response must be that of Abraham. We believe God. We believe in his word. We believe in his promise. What he says is true. What he says will be fulfilled. And as we believe, we are saved by faith. So let you and let us walk in the steps of Abraham, the man of faith. Let us believe in the Lord, believe in his promises, knowing that what he has said is true. He has spoken, and he will do what he says he will do. I hope one day it's said of me, as it was said of Abraham, he believed in the Lord. That is the way of salvation. That is the path of righteousness. You have a great day today. Walk by faith. Walk in faith in the Lord who loves you. Know his promises are true, and all will be well. And I'll see you next time in our 5-minute Bible study in the book of Genesis.